in hypothesis testing. We work rather with what is called a null hypothesis. The null hypothesis basically states that whatever it is you are claiming has a relationship with the result that you're specifying. It doesn't work. So my treatment in this case would be the video, and the dependent variable, the results of that treatment, would be the preparedness of my students to participate in discussion. And of course, if I were to do a research project on this, I would have to define these things in an operational manner that would make the hypothesis testable. We'll talk more about that in the future and in class. So the null hypothesis would simply be there will be no difference in the preparation for discussion if a video is prepared ahead of time. No difference, no positive difference, no negative difference, just simply no relationship between the two. That's the null hypothesis. Now, in statistical analysis and hypothesis testing, we work to accept the null or reject the null. You can imagine that a person who's doing research, they are hoping to reject the null. If you reject the null, then you accept the research or alternative hypothesis. Okay? I hope that kind of gives you an idea about what the null hypothesis is. You need to be familiar with that concept in order to understand hypothesis testing, which we'll be covering as we go through this class. So very simply, the research hypothesis is the hypothesis that I would like to demonstrate is a true relationship based on observations that I have made. The null hypothesis is the hypothesis that we actually work with statistical methods to accept or reject. What researchers would like to do with the null hypothesis is, of course, reject it. Okay? Roses are red, violets are blue. If you were a null hypothesis, I would not reject you. Yeah. Okay, enough of that. I'm looking forward to seeing you all in the first class. If you have the book, please read Chapter 1. If you don't have the book, and in either case, if you do or you don't, please look at the list of terms that I sent out, the key terms on page 36, in an email blast, and use your own resources to find the meaning of those terms and be prepared to discuss them. There were a couple of things I asked you to discuss as well. Let's see, scientific method, proposing a hypothesis, those two things. The scientific method is often described in different ways and with different number of steps, but basically speaking, the scientific hypothesis is a rather straightforward process of observation, speculation, constructing a testable hypothesis, gathering a sample, performing the tests to determine whether or not your hypothesis is supportable. And of course, we'd be looking to reject the null hypothesis. So scientific method can be described in different numbers of steps. So don't be dissuaded if you find a definition of scientific method or research method that has a different number of steps. The process is usually the same in both. Looking forward to seeing you all in the first class. Have a wonderful day.